Okay, 1, 2.
Salam sejahtera tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly take your seats. Pada mereka yang di ruang legar, sila masuk ke dalam. Please take your seats as it's already 10:35. We're 5 minutes late and we have to finish by 12 as many of you have flights. So the flights have to leave by 12:30 Kendaka Airport, yeah? So we will start. I hope all our speakers are in, plus the moderator. Kita bagikan tepukan kuat-kuatnya setiap negara. Please welcome our first speaker, Mr. Zeinoul Abedien Cajee from South Africa, dari Afrika Selatan. Welcome. And our second speaker is Dr. Abdulmohsen Alkharafi from Kuwait. Our third speaker is Dr. Abbas Sadri Akbar from Iran. Chatori. And our distinguished moderator is Professor Dato Dr. Ahmad Hidayat Buang. He is a professor in Sharia and Law Department, Academy of Islamic Studies, University of Malaya. He served as consultant and advisor on Sharia matters to several banks and financial institutions in Malaysia and Singapore. Currently served as chairman of the Sharia Supervisory Council for Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad and chairman of Group Sharia Committee for MNRB. Please welcome Professor Dr. Ahmad Hidayat Buang, Malaysia.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
May I be reminded, please keep on time. Thank you very much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Thank you very much, the moderator, and also welcome back to the delegates and the participants to this Higher Education Forum 2018, Islamic Economics for IR Revival of Wakaf. First of all, I'd like to thank the speakers for kindly accepted the invitation of the minister, and also I would like to thank the ministry for asking me to moderate this session. It is an honor for me. We are now in the last session, the fourth session, and time is very short for us because we have to finish the session before 12, and I hope that we can manage that time. As you know, that the last yesterday session, we have this royal address by the Sultan Nazrin, and also the 3 sessions that speaking on the Wakaf as a new driver for Islamic economists, and also how Wakaf could be used to innovate and produce talents, and how the higher education could be supported by Wakaf. So today, this session, we will be talking about the policy and impact, how to formulate policy in order to achieve the agenda that been mentioned yesterday. And we have here 3 distinguished speakers that I think have the experience and also the knowledge to talk about the impact, the policy and impact of the Wakaf. And we have heard just now by Dr. Dato from Turkey that in order to have a very sound impact of Wakaf, we need to have a very strong legal framework. As you know, in Turkey, that's been presented by Dr. Dato, the strong framework of Wakaf there, the legal framework whereby every Wakaf need to be approved by the court of law. And then, fortunately for Turkey, they have this historical element that they inherited from Ottoman. Then I believe that the substantial amount of Wakaf come from the Ottoman Empire. So this session, we will try to elaborate this aspect of policy and impact. And I have three speakers, as told you just now. First, we have Dr. Abdulmohsen Alkharafi from Turkey. He's now the Deputy Chairman Board for the Abdullah Nouri Foundation in Kuwait. He is speaking about his experience in Kuwait and also how values of wakaf could be inculcated in the policy matters. And also we have with us Mr. Zeinoul Abedien Cajee from South Africa. He's the Executive Director of South Africa Wakaf Foundation. So he was speaking from the perspective of South Africa as a Muslim minority country in respect of policy and impact. And also the last one, but not least, Mr. Abbas Sadri Akbar is the Director of ISESCO, Regional Office in Tehran. So he was speaking as Director of ISESCO, whereby how could the policy of Wakaf could be implemented to the ISESCO country members. So without further ado, I would like to invite, first of all, in the schedule, actually, is Dr. Abdulmohsen. I hope Mr. Zeinoul don't mind. I invite first Dr. Abdulmohsen. So briefly, Dr. Abdulmohsen has a degree or doctorate degree in mathematics from UK, and he has many experience in Kuwait involving Wakaf, and also has presided and also a member of many projects and also programs of Wakaf in Kuwait, and also he has written many books, I think more than 30 books on scientific and heritage and also Wakaf in Kuwait, and also has won several awards in the area of voluntary and charitable work. So without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Abdulmohsen to present his presentation, but please bear in mind, probably not more than 10 minutes. Thank you.
Hopefully, inshallah. Okay. Thank you. Can I use the podium? Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Brother Professor Ahmad. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. وبعد, thank you very much for the Ministry of Higher Education for this invitation and for this very successful forum. I appreciate all the ideas and the projects and the experience delivered in this conference. But I think it should be imminent and should be coming from the values of the Waqf and the values on which the Waqf starts from and goes from. This is why we talk a little bit about good past of the Waqf, so that we have good experience and a bank of ideas in Waqf and have, inshallah, good present and good future. Inshallah. This is why actually I will present in the end of my talk 2 copies of my book on what we call Waqf education. Inshallah, Waqf education, which is very, very important to those who are going to work in Waqf, inshallah. Let's say 1 copy for the Ministry of Higher Education and 1 copy of the management of this conference, especially those who have interest, inshallah, of translation. And I hope I will get the reverse gift that they will assure me that there is in Malay, or at least in English language, there is a book similar to it. Or if there is not, I suggest for them to translate either the book or the extract of the book or summary of the book, so that all those people going to work on Waqf has Waqf education. Moreover, it can be used in the schools, in the high schools, early stages of education, and we have to tell our young people about Waqf and how to educate them about Waqf using these basic information that can be feed in the curriculum, inshallah. So I may have this suggestion to the management of the conference. And this is why actually I very appreciate the way and the style of this conference management, who make the gift is not a classic trophy that given to the speakers in the end. They actually give a similar book like this. This is the first time I see in the conferences which give the value of the books. All what we have, all our offices is full of trophies in the back of our offices. But now, actually, this is the main trophy, the big trophy I appreciate for the management of this conference. I don't know if it is a habit in Malaysia. In this case, I really thank the Malaysian people, and if it is the first time, I consider it one of the innovations and addition to the conferences to give book as trophy, not the classic trophy. I was hoping that there was an English translation, because my English is not so fluent as the others, but this is why I put the Arabic correspondence to my material for those, and somebody told me that a lot of audience speak Arabic or can read Arabic, so I get multilingual material in this maximum of 10 slides as I have been told. So we have to see the civilizational illuminations of the Waqf endowment. First, in support of the development, Awqaf has a key role in human development as it provides the job opportunities. Moreover, it supports the third sector beside the public sector and the private sector. And also, Awqaf generates the creativity by renewing the existing institutions with the flexibility and the directing its revenues and possibility of bridging the gaps of the economic system. From the other side, also in the area of self-obligations, Awqaf is a moral and cultural obligation of the current generation towards the coming generation. We are building for those people we don't know, but for as a self-obligation to the coming generations, inshallah, and provide them the infrastructure from which they may proceed to complete the economic and cultural processes of society and nation. Awqaf is an obligation of the religious institution in every Muslim society to sustain its development in all its aspects. Also, third part is the comprehensive benefits of Awqaf income. And the benefits of the Awqaf and the Muslim endowment go beyond them to those with basic needs regardless with their religion. So it is not only for Muslims, for all religions. As it goes beyond the religious Muslim to all Muslims, to all non-Muslims, and also as well endowment benefits go beyond the world of humans to the worlds of birds and animals, as we'll see some examples. Fourthly, the religious and legal assurance of Awqaf, the choice of strong and trusty Al-Qawi Al-Amin as a starting point for determining the appropriate endowment trustees for the managing endowment investment, and to ensure respect for the competence in assigning each specialization to its specialist, and to ensure the flexibility of the accommodation, the Awqaf and its institution in all types of censorship. Fifthly, the holistic approach to achieve the wishes of the donors. And without exaggeration, the Waqf comprise a wide spectrum of all aspects of life. The terms and the conditions of donor is considered similar to the Sharia text. And moreover, everyone can make the endowment according to their wishes apart from the rich. Even poor people can partake in the endowment according to their capability, even in the time, even in the effort. So there is no excuse for the poor people not to have endowment, to have waqf. They can do it by their time, by their helping in the open, the wide open areas. Let me give you some examples of unique traditional approach of the waqf. When I say traditional, we start from the traditional to the present and to the future. Let's see the shining face of Islamic civilization. There was milk endowment. I don't need to express, I think it is very famous, the milk endowment, the vessel endowment, the marriage endowment. There is no time to explain as the time is short. And also, in addition to human being, we have the non-human being. We have the endowment for feeding the stray animals. So we go beyond humans to non-human world. We have the endowment for honoring the old horses retired from active jihad. So the horses who used to be used in jihad is treated specifically and specially and pass away very honorably. And endowment for hospitality of the migratory birds. Even the birds who in seasons of the year just pass through the country, there were some endowment to feed them and to water them while they are just crossing the country. And thirdly, on the value level, endowment for poor orchards and those who just see the orchards of the Sultan or the rich people, the Sultan has done another orchard for them, so that can compensate. And there is an endowment for bankrupt businessmen. The businessmen who, for any reason, suffer from bankruptcy shouldn't beg the others and ask somebody to help. There were some endowment for those people who used to be rich, but for some reason has a bankruptcy. And endowment for encouraging the patient to heal. Two persons are hired to just whistle, to let the third party feels he is good. Oh, take a look, he is good, mashallah. So doctor, he said, if he is still good, he will get out from the hospital tomorrow. There were some endowment for that. Endowment for supporting teachers to help them to make the students to understand better. And in my book, with some brothers, we present 60 of these very shining examples of Islamic civilization of the endowment. And after the suggestion that I have written proposal to the conference management that along with health education, support education, why don't we have, as I said before, waqf education? So I presented as one of the suggestions to the management of the conference. And finally, we have some contemporary models of new additions to forms of awqaf. Let me finish off how to get use of the past in the nowadays world. I suggest some examples of what we have done in Kuwait. I used to be the General Secretary of Public Awqaf in Kuwait for 4 years. And Alhamdulillah, we invent some new forms of awqaf, like waqf for construction, the endowment in poor Muslim countries. Usually we found all awqaf from Kuwaitis inside Kuwait. We encourage them to make a new awqaf in poor Muslim countries that cannot make waqf. Secondly, we encourage a new form of awqaf for restructuring, reconstructing of old awqaf to improve its revenue. As Brother Dawood, Dr. Dawood mentioned in Turkey, and I assume in everywhere. But some awqaf don't have enough revenue to have reconstruction. Also a new form, waqf for construction of endowment in the foreign countries for the sake of Muslim communities and minorities residing there. And like in Europe, in all the other worlds, Western world, they don't have a source of budget to make their activities. So we may build a special awqaf in Muslim countries to the benefit of these Muslim minorities in these countries. And eventually, and then finally, to endow a nominal additional sums per assumed share of the inheritance in charity. Suppose we have a very nice example. We have one person, rich person, who came. I have, as an example, I have 3 sons, 2 daughters. I would like to consider waqf is the 4th son to be assumed as a son. Whenever I die, all my inheritance not will go for 3 sons and 2 daughters. It will go for them and plus the 4th assumed son. That waqf will be. So regardless with how much is the amount of his inheritance, how much is the amount, anyway, 1/6 or 1/7 of his inheritance will be for waqf. So I think a lot of innovative forms of waqf can be done if we get use of the past, our very shining past, and to get some actually good examples for our present and our future. So in any way, it is only the ideas for economic and the development. I think we have to concentrate on values. We have to concentrate about waqf education. And inshallah, I think we can join the advantages of the past to get the use of it in the future. And if you excuse me, I will give these 2 copies for the moderator. Inshallah, he will convey it to the 1 copy for the Ministry of Higher Education. And this is form of thanking them from my side, and also for the management who will take care, inshallah, either for translation, the summary of the book, or just to give me an idea if there is some book already covering this material. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Abdulmohsen, for the presentation. So I think the most important part of the presentation is on the policy is how the 4th one, I think, the religious and...
Bismillah. Thank you.
Sorry? Okay.
Sorry?
Yes, the ministry has said that they will translate your book.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think the book can be given to the organizer, and the ministry has given assurance that they can translate the book.
Thank you, Minister.
Okay. So we go to the second presenter or speaker, Mr. Zeinoul Abedien Cajee. He's the founding CEO of the National Awqaf Foundations and also the consulting partner for the firm Chartered Accountants in South Africa. He also held a lecturership in Management and Economic Science in the University of Johannesburg, and also has presented many papers on awqaf. And he's very passionate about awqaf. And I think his experience in South Africa will be something that is interesting to us to hear. And without further ado, I invite Mr. Abedien to present the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Honorable Minister, Honorable Deputy Minister, and speakers, participants, and all concerned, all protocol observed. Just by way of introduction, I would say that waqf is the most powerful, sacred, strategic, sustainable, enduring, and empowering of all voluntary Islamic charities. And I think this is the statement that we should all internalize, as this is going to be one of the foundational funding mechanisms for Muslims world over. So my topic and my focus is basically on policy and impact, and the issue, the theme is basically on revival. So just to give you some context, the Muslims of South Africa are basically a minority community of between 2 and 3% of about 55 million in total. So we are about 1.5 million. And you know that we have a colonial and apartheid era oppression and restrictions in property, in possession, and so forth. So, you know, people actually came there as initially as indentured laborers and as slaves, many from this part of the world. So OCAF South Africa is basically a non-governmental organization, NGO, established in 2001. It receives donations as waqf from the Muslim public, mainly. The waqf funds are pooled, and then these are invested, and the income generated from these investments are then used for what we call downstream projects. So in terms of waqf revival, some of the limiting factors are, and I think some of these have been mentioned before, lack of public awareness, lack of financial institutions awareness, lack of trained professionals in the financial services sector, lack of an enabling environment, poor corporate governance, lack of in-depth knowledge, application and development. And I think in terms of policy imperatives, we should be looking at as foundational, and people who are in the Sharia field will know that the maqasid al-Sharia, or the higher objectives of the Sharia, will be actually foundational and absolutely fundamental to any movement that would actually revive the waqf system. So its aims and objectives must dovetail into the maqasid al-Sharia. Public advocacy and awareness on a massive scale will be absolutely essential. So there must be some kind of policy that would actually drive this. Then, of course, training of scholars, ulama, and professionals will be absolutely essential. And of course, going down to, because of its multi-generational nature, it needs to go down to school, university curriculum level. So some of the initiatives that OCAF South Africa have introduced are having regular waqf training programs. We have one almost every year for Southern Africa, including many other countries around South Africa. Waqf conferences are held regularly. We have this website called Waqf Academy, so people can actually learn from there on an online basis. We have an online library, so people could actually, it's a collection of articles from all over the world, and one could actually just go through there and download articles. We have a regular newspaper publication every month. Some article on waqf is actually produced. We have a very active website, very active on social media. We've engaged ulama to give khutbahs on a Friday, and we ourselves go out to mosques on a Friday to give khutbahs as well. And of course, all the time, stakeholder engagement. So stakeholders, donors, community leaders, and so forth. And of course, with many events that we have, these also help in terms of reviving the waqf concept. In terms of policy, one has to have a multi-pronged approach so that it's not sort of confined to any particular way, using different means and mechanisms, whether it's social media, whether it's events, whether it's small groups of people. And I think importantly, it's to use our networks. And we found that using our networks helps a lot in terms of mobilizing as well as creating that kind of knowledge base as well. And we regard waqf as and OCAF as a knowledge-based institution. So in terms of Waqf revival as well, for example, in South Africa, we have an enabling environment, and this is what we need. We need to ensure that there's freedom of association. We can appoint our own mutawallis. There should be an adequate legal framework. So we have a Trust Property Control Act. We don't have a Waqf Act as such, but within this Trust Property Control Act, we can actually ensure that all the requirements that are needed from a Waqf perspective are all included in there. There should be tax incentives. We have tax incentives in South Africa. There should be personal motivational factors. Why is it that a person should actually make a Waqf? What are the religious reasons for it? What are other socio-economic reasons for it? And because Waqf is voluntary, it needs to be driven from a personal level as well. So in terms of policy, I think that there should be liberalization versus regulation. So there must be regulation, but at the same time, it must be liberal. And we have that situation in South Africa. We also, I think from a historical perspective, from the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the whole Waqf system operated on a civil society basis. So people on the ground could actually create and establish their own Waqfs without state control, without the state actually being involved in it. So, for example, even Hazrat Umar had his own daughter as a mutawalli. Now, in terms of the digital world and 4IR, I think we're still a little bit behind, but I think we've started using social media extensively, online learning platforms, online seminars and symposia, online university courses, crowdfunding. We use television as well in order to raise funds and online payments. So I think from a policy perspective, we need to be ahead of the pack. We need to innovate. I don't know how robots are going to actually help us. Maybe robots would be able to answer several questions. People could call into a robot and just ask any question on Waqf, and maybe they could get all the necessary answers. So we have 5 major categories of expending our income that's generated: education, healthcare, and environment. For example, we have mathematics upgrade tuition programs. We have literacy upgrade trading programs, especially because South Africa is probably ranked as the lowest in the world in terms of its education standards, especially when it comes to mathematics and science. So, and this goes not only amongst Muslims, but also the broader South African community. We have programs in terms of healthcare, cataract operations. Between us and our partners, we've done about 4,000 cataract operations that are done free of charge to mainly poor people. Then, of course, your social cohesion and community development. Because of our situation in South Africa, we need to have a kind of multicultural approach and bringing people together. So those are kind of initiatives that we need. From a policy perspective, yes, we need to be holistic. We need to look at community needs. And I think from what Dr. Azmi said yesterday, also the Sustainable Development Goals, we need to plug into those. We need to plug into national development plans as well. This is one of the projects that we've introduced as part of the revival, the My Waqf project. And for this, what we thought is that each one of you is going to be given a Waqf account in South Africa, since Waqf is global, and we've got forms that we'll be distributing here. You fill it in or you give us your business card. We're going to open up an account for each one of you in South Africa, in OCAF South Africa, inshallah. So I hope that will be something that is our gift to you. So these are the 5 areas that we talk about: social cohesion, healthcare and development, Waqf development, education and leadership development, Youth leadership is also quite a vital area. We spend a substantial amount on student activities, student leadership camps, and because those are our future leaders, and we need to ensure that they have adequate training in terms of leadership. These are the Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 of them, and I think that when policymakers look at how they should actually use Waqf revenues, these are some of the areas that they should be looking at. In terms of impact, I think what we should be looking at is, with all the revival that we do, what are the behavioral changes of donors in terms of Waqf donations? How do we actually see donations actually pouring into the coffers of Waqf institutions? How many Waqf ambassadors do we have? How many do we train? How many, what sort of quality of ulama and scholars are we producing in terms of Waqf knowledge? What sort of groundbreaking research are we doing that will actually enable us to solve community problems, scientific problems, medical health issues, and so forth? In terms of social justice, which is one of the maqasid of the Sharia, that we, in terms of education, how are we providing kind of equal access to higher education for the poor and needy? What sort of positive policy changes are actually emanating from the research that is conducted? New knowledge that is produced, and how do we influence policy and stakeholders from research as well on the R&D that we spend? In terms of numbers, of course, the impact that we have on from an Awqaf perspective, how many people are we reaching in terms of awareness? Because if we are looking at revival, then obviously we need to look at we're looking at popularization, and we're looking at mass distribution. So from a marketing perspective, we really need to see what sort of numbers we're going to be looking at. How many donors are we acquiring, and what sort of quantity of donations are we getting? What's the growth of our donor basis? And these are things that we need to monitor all the time. What is the growth in our Waqf funds, investments, and assets? What sort of new schools or colleges or universities, free and fee-paying schools or colleges that we are producing? The number of under or masters or PhD graduates, the number and quality of faculty members, what sort of alumni and parent contributions are we actually getting? And how can we measure the impact of, say, for example, the Sustainable Development Goals, or in terms of KPIs?
Mr. Zeinoul, you got 1 minute more.
Are we done?
Yeah.
Okay, but before that, we're going to play you a short video.
Short video, how many minutes? 2 minutes? 1 minute?
Just 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Ahmad Dauji Dadaboy was born in 1907 in Gujarat, India. After traveling the world, he ultimately arrived in Malaya and made his home here in the 1940s. Ahmad Dauji was an incredibly successful businessman with assets and holdings in Malaysia and abroad. Despite his great wealth, he lived a very modest lifestyle. He lived in a simple flat in Malayan Mansion, Jalan Masjid, India. Multilingual, he is an avid reader with over 1,000 books on a wide variety of topics. Before his death, he willed that his wealth and fortune be used for the education and economic improvement of Muslims. On 18th September 1991, the High Court of Kuala Lumpur declared that Majlis Agama Islam Wilayah Persekutuan, or MAWIP, were the trustees for the Ahmad Dauji estate. MAWIP is the principal Islamic agency in the Federal Territory, and in 2007, began the process of developing Ahmad Dauji Dada Boy's Wakaf land located at Lot 168 and 169, Jalan Perak, Kuala Lumpur, measuring 1.21 acres. This was a strategic partnership between Mawib, Lembaga Tabung Haji, and Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad. The launch of the Wakaf Land Development Project was officiated by then Prime Minister Dato Sri Abdullah Haji Ahmad Badawi. The tower was then officiated by His Royal Highness Al-Wathiku Billah Tuanku Mizan Zeinoul Abedien, the 13th monarch. This development serves as the first commercial Wakaf project in Malaysia. The estate was originally valued at 34 million ringgit and now is worth hundreds of millions of ringgit. 56.6 million ringgit is the value of the lease, and this commercial property will become the exclusive property of Mawib after the lease expires after 25 years. A prayer hall is located here, named in honor of Ahmad Dauji Dada Boy, and has a capacity of 3,000 worshippers. By commercially developing the Wakaf land, Mawib was recognized as the premium Wakaf land developer among state Islamic agencies. Allahyarham Ahmad Dauji also willed one shop lot and 2 houses in the Kuala Lumpur area. The proceeds from his shares in and outside Malaysia have been set aside by Mawib in a fund to be used for other Wakaf development projects in the Federal Territory. This Mawib development is proof that Islamic agencies are capable of building commercial projects on Wakaf land. It is also a symbol of the extraordinary individual that was Ahmad Dauji Dada Boy.
So just as a final word, brothers and sisters, you see this video, we actually use this video for Wakaf revival in South Africa. It's a very beautiful, motivational video. We hope that this will motivate you as well to establish Wakafs in Malaysia. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Mr. Zeinoul Abedien, for the presentation and the video. I don't think that. Thank you for playing the Malaysian video, and it has an impact in South Africa. And we have a next DAS speaker, Alhamdulillah, Dr. Abbas Sadri Akbar from, he's a director of ISESCO, office in Iran, in Tehran. And before this, he was a teacher in Iran and also acting minister in international affairs. And he has, I think, many experience in organizing policy aspect of the ISESCO member state. And I will welcome Mr. Abbas to present the presentation. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. First of all, it is a big pleasure for me to convey to you on behalf of His Excellency Dr. Abdulaziz Usman Al-Tuwaijiri, the General Director of ISESCO. The best regards to all of you and appreciate the organizer, especially the government of Malaysia and also the Ministry of Higher Education. According to the instruction that I had, we should talk regarding the policies and impact. Therefore, during a few days, we worked on the policy, and then we calculated the impacts. The first policy that we consider is improving the role of Waqf in universities' social responsibility. And it is very, very important issue. What are the social responsibility of the universities? First of all, creating the social capital. social confidence between the people. These are some kind of aspects and angles and dimension of waqf that in the university we should try to promote the public awareness among the people regarding the waqf. In such cases, 2 nights back, I discussed with the Honorable Minister of Higher Education, Malaysia. First of all, we should change the school curriculum and develop some part of waqf in the curriculum and in the textbooks. Secondly, by the Ministry of Education, we should have a discipline to train special media for waqf. And also, we should train many people that be an intermediate between the doctrine of waqf and the people. And also, by the waqf and the dimension of the waqf, we should have the sharing with the people, caring the people. Almost everybody should feel, according to the waqf, that he is responsible for the caring of the others. And also, we create an atmosphere and paradigm for kindness, imagination between the people regarding the waqf. Regarding promoting public awareness on the benefits and dimension of waqf, public participation. We invite the people to participate. They share. And increasing the waqf quotient in the society. It is the operational strategy for the Ministry of Education, I think for the universities. And also, 2 days back in Morocco, it was a conference and they were discussing regarding the child labor. And I think many people are concerned regarding the child labor. We can put it in our agenda. The waqf for taking care of child labor is another issue that we can discuss. Social interaction. And also public motivation. How we can motivate the people. How we can motivate different sectors to participate through the waqf in different areas of the society. And also, during 2 days, there are a lot of discussion regarding poverty eradication. And in my opinion, after a long term working on the universities and technical vocational education and so on, during these days, I think the waqf can provide opportunities for the university for the field-based project. It means the industry, farms, and every item in such regards, they should consider some aspects of the fields for the universities, that the universities send a student to those fields for the field-based project. Or sometimes through the waqf, they help the university for conducting field-based research. And also, in many cases during these days, if actually we want to increase the rate of external efficiency of the universities, the best way is that the Waqf item to be engaged for development of such items. It means that the Waqf items to be considered for the job placement of the graduate and for the internship. And therefore, in my opinion, during these days, I linkage is so important. And the Waqf can play a crucial role in this area. It means the people, the industry, also the owner of the farm, everything, you know, should make a cooperation link with the universities through the Waqf. They say, okay, it is the Waqf for this corporation. And also, innovation in resource mobility and Waqf consumption. It is another item that we should consider. Revitalization of the Waqf is to systematize and facilitate the Waqf process. It means monitoring, planning, strategic planning, having a conceptual framework for the Waqf, and all different steps in the process of monitoring. Sustainable resource from the Waqf. It requires a systematized process. Actually, revitalization of the Waqf is to systematize and facilitate the Waqf process. Next item, to optimize Waqf consumption among the stakeholders. First of prioritizing. Most of the time, we cannot consider what is our priority. We have a lot of resources, but we should captionize all these items according to the requirement of the society and many items. Sometimes we have a small amount of the Waqf, but if we can accumulate all these things, we can take a lot of measures, a big measure. And another item that really I am concerned that we should work on that, decreasing the wastage rate. We have a wastage in our Waqf process. How we can do it? We should work on that. I appreciate for choosing this theme of the conference for today. Really, I appreciate. And also, we should have the more coverage. We should have the more coverage. Every year, we should increase the coverage of the Waqf in our society through different intervention and participation. I think the motivational policy is so important. First of all, one of the ways that we can have, ways and means that we can have for motivating the people is religious thought. That it is the role of scholars, ulama, actually to increase and to motivate people. Another item that I have an experience on that, it is motivational policy and facilitate compensation plan. It means we say to the people, if you invest $100, for example, the university will invest $100, hand by hand. We motivate the people by the compensation plan. And also, it is very important to complete the Waqf cycle in an increasing and indigenous way to finish product. Actually, when somebody invests something somewhere for the waqf, we should complete the cycle up to time that it is useful and benefit for the well-being of the people, for different storage. This cycle should be completed. I do not have the time to actually make more discussion on that. And also the waqf as a cultural policy. Actually, we should have many processes of waqf in the policy, philosophy and policy directive of the governments, universities, and everywhere. And I think during these days, we should make a connecting link between interaction between the waqf and educational system, impacts unreached to reach, to the quality education, lifelong learning. Really, I believe a lot of people are concerned about the dropout rate of the poor people from the schools. It is one aspect that we can help the schools, the people, to decrease the rate of dropout.
So Abbas, can you conclude your presentation?
Anyway, thank you very much because the short of the time. And I hope that all these papers that I prepared, they will be circulated among all of you. And thank you very much. Thank you. And again, thank you of the government and Ministry of Higher Education for all hospitality that they extended to us during these days. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Mr. Abbas Sadri Akbar. My apology for cutting short your speeches. I don't like actually to cut people's speeches, but I have no choice. Because we have an agenda after this at 11:45 for the ministry speeches, closing remarks. So there is the conclusion of the presentation by the speaker, three speakers, and the next session will be the Q&A session. So we have here 9 questions. Probably the organizer want to display the question on the screen here. So not all questions are relevant to you. One question pertaining to Malaysia, which I think probably Malaysian people can answer. But the other 8 questions is up to you to answer which one, the most relevant to you. And there are also gender questions that you may want to answer. Okay, so anybody can show the question in the screen, on the screen? Yes, get the question. So anybody can start answering the question. Yeah, okay, please.
Okay, I think the first one is, we know there's a book actually published by Professor Khalid Rashid, and he has actually outlined very clearly in this book on all the legal issues in Malaysia. And what is quite clear in that book is that there's a kind of very stringent kind of restrictions on public ability and public sort of willingness to make waqfs because of the state control. So I think one of the key fundamental issues that Malaysians would have to address, and I think this needs to be done collectively from various stakeholders, that this liberalization needs to happen. Because if that doesn't happen, we are not going to have this kind of mass revival of the waqf system. And being a Muslim majority country, I mean, at the end of the day, we'd like to see the whole waqf system thriving and being proliferated, and that literally every street corner has a waqf and every household has waqfers or waqf makers. So if that doesn't happen, if we don't have this enabling environment in the country, then it's going to make it very difficult. The other issue that I think was raised was about cross-border. And I think that waqf has literally always been international. And if one actually makes, if people from one country make waqfs in another country, it's fine. It's not an issue. We are one ummah at the end of the day. It's colonialists that divided us.
Dr. Abdullah, Abdulmohsen.
About the question, is it okay that the government will be the only trustee or the main trustee, and is it okay to get the public to be mutawalli? Yes, we have two aspects. First of all, there is a legal point of view that the waqf documentation on the will of a donor that has somebody to be mutawalli after him, we are obliged to get him, he is the mutawalli. Also, in a lot of awqaf, we ask the sons or the grandsons to be sharing with us the management of waqf. But if there is nobody mentioned and there is no need, then the government will be the only trustee. And actually, it is well trained and well designated for that. And alhamdulillah, it is very, very good experience that the people assigned from the government side, they have the good management because they are well trained. They are having accumulated experience. So eventually the answer is mixed experience. Some awqaf has the full control from the government, and some awqaf have the joint management from the both sides.
Abbas, any response to the question? You can use the mic over there. It's a mic. There are some general question.
Yeah, general.
Yeah. Can you? You want to respond to the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, for managing and controlling and monitoring of the waqf aspect, we should rely on the people. Actually, the people should be engaged in all this process, and it helps if the development and designing, developing, implementation, controlling is under the supervision of the people and private sector. It makes it much more easier, I think.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Abbas, for the response to the question. There are some questions relating to Malaysia. I don't think that our speaker can respond to that. But this question can be referred to our expert here. I think there are many experts here you can refer to about the question on the Waqf governed by Majlis Agama Islam, and then should Malaysia have a Waqf Act. So this one probably you can refer to our expert here. So our last agenda here is to recap and to summarize the presentation. If you want to recap in 1 minute time, I invite Mr. Abbas first to recap, to summarize, if any. No, okay, thank you very much, Brother Zeinoul Abedien.
Okay, I think in summary, I believe that Waqf revival is absolutely vital. I think that as an institution that was established by the Prophet ﷺ with a long-term vision and long-term sustainability, and despite all the ups and downs of the Ummah over the centuries, the Waqf system always saw the Ummah through all those difficult times. And it's part of the, I would say, the security system that Islam has provided us with. And I think that the sooner communities sort of establish what is good for them in terms of the Waqf system and establish structures and processes that will enable this beautiful institution to flourish once again and to empower the Muslim Ummah through the system, I think we will be moving in the right direction, Shukran.
Okay, Brother Dr. Abdulmohsen.
I am very pleased that, alhamdulillah, one verse of Quran al-Kareem has been, mashallah, shown here, which is, Ya Yahya khudil kitaba biquwwa. I think Malaysia, without exaggeration, is taking her book by strength in the manner of waqf. I see, mashallah, starting from the word of Sultan yesterday and His Highness the Minister, either morning or in the dinner yesterday, and now, mashallah, Malaysia is taking waqf experience very seriously. I'm very, very pleased of that. And I hope, inshallah, as what I seen, they are, as the theme of the conference, mashallah, they have the policy so that they are finding the very good impact, alhamdulillah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sorry.
Okay, for the summary. Yeah, Mr. Abbas, okay, sorry.
Actually, according what I witnessed in this conference, the Malaysia began the work in an appropriate way, considering the work for the universities. It is a very, very appropriate way for development of the work in Malaysia. And really, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Abbas, for the short summary of the presentation. So I'd like to first of all apologize the presenter for cutting short your speeches. And I'm grateful for your tolerance over time because we are very tight of schedule, and also for the delegates and participants for the questions and participating in the session. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih. Thank you very much to our moderator, Professor Dato Dr. Ahmad Hidayat Buang, Malaysia. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as a token of appreciation presented by the Honorable Deputy Minister of Higher Education, please welcome the Honorable Dato Dr. Mary Yap Kanching on stage. First presentation to South Africa, Mr. Zeinoul Abedien Cajee. Terima kasih. Thank you. Baidanke. Second will be from Kuwait, Dr. Abdulmohsen Alkharafi. Terima kasih. Thank you. Shukran jazilan. And last but not least, Dr. Abbas Sadri Akbar from Iran. Terima kasih. Mamnoon. Merci. And the moderator, Professor Dato Dr. Ahmad Hidayat Buang, Malaysia. Terima kasih. May we invite all the distinguished speakers to come forward and flank the Honorable Deputy Minister for a group photo. Two gentlemen at both sides. Thank you. This is the last group photo. Make sure you smile. Thank you very much. Terima kasih. Baidanke. Shukran jazilan. And merci or mamnoon in Persian. Ladies and gentlemen, we've already come. How time flies, time and tide waits for no man. I think everybody has shared the experiences, shared the knowledge that God has blessed you. And for people who do not know, became a little richer in experience of the Waqf situation. And thank you, thank you, thank you to all the beautiful people from around the world willing to come to Malaysia and share. And we welcome you with very hot sun to make you feel hot and warm. We welcome you with also rain to make you feel cool, because we do not have snow. So, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you will enjoy your rest of your stay. For those of you leaving soon, bon voyage And please have a fantastic time home with your families, and please, please come back to our country. And now, before I call upon our guest of honor and your gracious host, the Honorable Minister of Higher Education of Malaysia, we'll have a very special video. So for those of you who missed yesterday or disappeared somewhere and came back, and you will not be in the video, so we know who you are. So make sure you take a look at the video. And for those speakers and also for the foreign participants who disappeared and went to Kraftangan or to Pavilion, we also know, because the 5 cameras are everywhere. So ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the screens for the special video presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to invite our guest of honor, the Honorable Minister of Higher Education Malaysia. Please put your hands together to welcome on stage the Honorable Dato Sri Idris Jusoh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam negaraku Malaysia. I would like to thank all those paper presenters. Big hands to all of them. Great papers, great views. And of course, moderators. Also big hands to them. But more important is that I would like to thank all of you. I was a bit worried yesterday, thinking that on the second day, the hall is going to be more than half empty. but today it's nearly full. Thank you to all of you. And I would regard all of you as wakafers. You get it? I mean, of course, it's not in the Oxford Dictionary. That would force Oxford to recognize there is such word as wakafer, W-A-K-A-F-E-R, and you are, all of you are wakafers. Thank you very much. I would like to take you to a scenario whereby there are many lecturers here saying that you are lecturers. You are given to teach, you are tasked to teach a classroom of good students, intelligent students. Of course, knowing they are good students and intelligent students, you'll be fully prepared. Just like coming to Malaysia, all of you, all the speakers, you're fully prepared. You look at your notes properly. Probably you couldn't sleep well that night. Make sure that you have intelligent questions to ask your students. And as a result of your preparation, as students being told they are good students, they have a good lecturer, be it from South Africa, or be it from Iran or World Bank. Of course, as a result, you see the students performing well. Vice versa. If you're telling the students you are bad, your lecturer is lousy, this is a lecturer we get, which no other universities can accept, of course, they're not going to do well. And the lecturer also knowing the students about how good he is, he won't come to class prepared. He slept late that night watching movies or whatever it is. This is what I call as scenario planning. This is what I call as basic assumption. This is what I call as framework that we are in at the moment. And the current framework, of course, the current economic framework I'm talking about in the moment, making assumptions of unlimited wants and limited resources, that people are economic animals, that people are selfish, people are basically greedy. We are in for just for profit maximization. We are there just to compete against another narrative saying that it's human nature to give. It's our nature to volunteer. We are selfless. We are altruistic. We are very sharing. We love in sharing. We do collaborative economy. We are loving and caring. There are two different scenarios altogether. Let us put into those scenarios. And of course, looking at the present economic system, I do feel, or conventional system, I do feel it is not sustainable. It's not in line even with the SDG, Sustainable Development Goal in the world. That's why, according to the survey in Harvard University, because if you don't quote Harvard, not many people trust you. The survey done by Harvard, if I say survey from USM, say a lot of, it's a good university. Even our best UCUM say, you have to say Harvard. Harvard says that, the survey done by Harvard, 52% of those respondents say that capitalism is not the choice. I was being told yesterday that even in Chicago economists are saying that we need an alternative economic system. Because I just talked to one professor from Chicago who said that he won't dare to speak against his professor who taught him the conventional economic system before. Not now. Chicago has changed. That's why we are here today. We're talking about the need for an alternative economic system. We talk about a new framework. That's why we talk about Wakaf revival today. And we see revival. This is going to be our tagline. Every young one of you will go on saying Wakaf revival. Because Wakaf is not new. It was there. See, the well of Sayyidina Uthman was there 1,400 years ago. We talk about the Milton College of Oxford. We talk about Harvard. And we talk about Azhar. Nothing new about it. And I was very happy when Dato said that we're going to invent, we're going to come up with magnificent civilization through this Wakaf revival. Thank you, Dato, for saying that. And why saying that in this fourth industrial revolution, in this age, not before? Of course, we see, and again, just to repeat what's being said by the speakers, Wakaf is not only meant for the Muslim, Wakaf is meant for everyone. And Wakaf can be, the donation can come from everyone. It's from everyone to everyone for the world, inshallah. Few things being said. Various issues on Wakaf, talking about awareness, being said by most of those presenters, talk about trust, talk about student, my Wakaf, I like that, my Wakaf concept, inshallah, I promise you, we get it done in Malaysia. Give me 1 or 2 weeks. I spoken to Razali yesterday. Where are you? From UPM. Wife is here. I know wife is here. I have to see him. Whatever it is, he's afraid to come in because of promise last night. I love the idea. We see how it can be done. Of course, awareness is knowledge, it's being said. And of course, knowledge is with universities. That's why we have universities here. We have vice chancellors here. I'm very happy some vice chancellors are here. Some of the chairmen are here. They don't have to come today. Of course, they came yesterday. Those who are here today, I guess, some board directors are here. They are here today because they believe in Wakaf revival. Thank you to all of you. And we talk about legal framework. And IDB has a ready legal framework. We talk about improving the governance, transparency. That's the reason why in Malaysia we have corporate Wakaf. Tansi, Sadia, where are you? Oh yeah, sorry, Sonia. Because you are petite, I cannot see you. And corporate Wakaf is here. I've been hearing people saying that, how do we get it done? Can we get it done through that way? And can we get it done through this way? Don't worry about it so much about it. We have Wakaf holding, we have corporate Wakaf. If you want to contribute, it's ready for you to contribute. You don't have to think about other things. Saha, where are you? You stand up. People want to see you. Tansri, you stand up. Woo them to contribute to you. I'm doing some marketing for you. It's also an act of volunteerism. I don't expect any pay. Of course, we can use technology. They're very good about it because we're talking about the fourth industrial revolution. We're talking about GPS. Very happy to hear that. You talk about blockchain in the Wakaf collection so you know where it comes from, where it goes to. Very transparent. And we talk about artificial intelligence. Of course, we can talk about robotics. A beautiful Sophia probably going house to house to collect Wakaf fund. They would entice a lot of men to give, probably. And of course, the ecosystem. And I love, I want to quote what's being said by Ahmad. Daoji just now saying that Wakaf is the most powerful strategic Islamic charity. The most powerful and strategic Islamic charity system. That's by Zainal Abedien, sorry. Zainal Abedien said that. And he was quoting, we forget. We Malaysia forget that. South Africa is using our video of Ahmad Daoji in South Africa. We forget that. Probably, can we have the video? I can do my WhatsApp after this. I love the video. And Mao Zedong said, innovation, how we could have additional sons' inheritance. If you have 2 sons, you can have another one additional, so that you can walk off your inheritance. Good ideas coming all the time. Beautiful. Not to forget that Wakaf revival is done in memory of Allah Yarham Tan Sri Ali Hashim. He introduced corporate Wakaf. I started learning from him 6 years ago. And Murad came here 6 years ago. And you come back, that's why you feel your home is Malaysia. I'm not sure you eat durian or not. You don't. You're not Malaysian enough then. This is the legacy. And we're not going to stop there. I was hoping someday we talk about a bigger collaboration. When we do this Wakaf Corporate, we look at it in a bigger perspective. We look at it in a global perspective. Why don't we come together? That's why you are here. From all over the country, from Kuwait, from Iran, Turkey, and all of you. You are here because we believe in Wakaf system. Why not today we agree that we need to have a global Wakaf foundation with $1 trillion investment? I tell you, you're not going to be big unless you can count the word $1 trillion. Nobody worry about you. If you have $1 trillion, people will listen to you. Inshallah. Give a thought about it. I've been thinking about it. That's why I'm brave enough to stand here to say that that's what we are doing. Again, overall, if you look at it overall, I feel there's something missing in the world. It's a 4-letter word. That 4-letter word is L-O-V-E. Nothing very funny. Wakaf is an act of love. Wakaf is an act of, I will repeat myself, of altruism, selflessness. That would lead to volunteerism, that would lead to sharing and collaboration, caring and giving. That's what the world needs now. That's what we're going to do to make sure that the world is going to be a happy, peaceful, and stable world aligned with SDG. That's what we Wakafers are doing today. Big hands to all of us. And in Ministry of Higher Education, we say we are sorry. Abbas. Sorry. Abbas. Right hand, 45 degrees on the chest. Sorry. Abbas. Sorry. Abbas. Sorry. Abbas. Sorry. 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 Thank you very much to all Wakafers. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much. Please know that the minister said soaring, and they shout upwards, not sorry, upwards. So he's very energetic. One more group of people. The past Director General of the Ministry of Education are also here. A lot of them are my late father's friends and colleagues, and so on. Yeah.
I would like to thank my Tan Sri Secretary General. Tan Sri, where are you? And Shaira for doing a good job. Beautiful, marvelous job. Thank you to all of you.
Well, I had a wonderful time being the Master of Ceremony. I'm so happy that the minister approved my presence. If he doesn't approve, I will not get a job. The job of an MC is quite easy when everything is smooth. And it could be a little difficult when we try to get everything on time, because we do not want to follow Malaysian time. We would like to follow as much as we could the real international timing. So, but everyone was fantastic. And look at the people here. Even on the last day of this 2 days conference, almost full. So that the minister could see this. Could I have all the international speakers to please stand? Just the international speakers first, not the Malaysian speakers. International speakers. Tepuk tangan kuat-kuat untuk dia. Come up first, please. Just stand beside the minister, left and right. And all the Malaysian speakers, please stand. Speakers from Malaysia. Please stand. Tepuklah kuat sikit, oh Malaysia. Ah, yes. Thank you. Please come up on stage. First, the group of the speakers first, yeah? Naik je, sila-sila. Yang Malaysia pun speakers, naik juga. Can I have the Deputy Minister and the KSU, the Secretary General, on stage? Okay. Could all of you please put your right hand out to show a good sign from Malaysia and the world? Yeah, thumbs up. And then the next one, you do the soaring. Kena marah pula nanti tak buat. Okay, now right hand. Yeah, down, bottom down, yeah? The hand's down. If the hand is up, kena be careful, yeah? You must put it down. Kalau up, nanti di Mahkamah Syariah macam selesai. Selesai. That's Kamal, not Nick. Cheerleader for KPD. Thank you very much. Relax, ya semua? Freestyle, yeah. Siapa lagi? Some can be on the floor. Some can be on the floor. Yeah, just relax. Some can kneel down on stage. Somebody kneel down, yeah. Atas punya boleh, atas. Okay, everybody look in front and smile. Okay, good sign. Okay, at the count of 3, just be free. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Upwards, upwards. Astaghfirullah. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Let's give them a big round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your presence. Terima kasih semua di atas sokongan Anda. Please proceed to 2 places for lunch.